Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are taking a sledgehammer to, honestly, one of the most toxic myths of our modern age. I'm talking about the myth of overnight success. We're going to dismantle all those flashy, get-rich-quick illusions that society just constantly feeds us and uncover the quiet, invisible, but absolutely mathematically certain reality of what actually works. By the end of this, you're going to have the exact blueprints to unlock massive, lasting success in your own life.
Okay, let's dive into this. So we live in a world completely infected by what we call the microwave mentality. Literally everywhere you look, you're being sold this false promise of instant gratification, right? Ads telling you that you can make 200 grand in 2 hours or, lose 30 pounds in a week without moving a single muscle. But here's the undeniable truth. None of that works. No way. It's a total lie that just leaves people burned out and disappointed. To get real results, we have to completely abandon that microwave mentality and cross over to the compound effect. That's the principle that slow, steady, daily disciplines are what actually create radical, permanent transformation.
Here's a really quick roadmap of the journey we're taking today. We'll start by shattering the overnight success myth, then we'll map out the actual compound effect formula. From there, we'll look at how to wake up your autopilot, swap out weak willpower for absolute why power, and finally, we'll get into the mechanics of building unstoppable momentum.
All right, part 1, the overnight success myth. We really have to genuinely ask ourselves here, why do those flashy get-rich-quick or get-fit-fast schemes never seem to yield lasting happiness or sustainable wealth? Like, why do they always fizzle out? Well, it's because true success just isn't about finding some shiny new shortcut. As the legendary business philosopher Jim Rohn famously said, there are no new fundamentals. Truth is not new, it's old. If you actually want to build a legacy, you've got to return to the unshakable old-fashioned fundamentals that our grandparents lived by. Hard work, discipline, consistent effort over time. Guys, there is no magic pill. Moving on to part 2, the compound effect formula. So the crucial point is, if we toss out that magic pill, what exactly replaces it? Well, it's this incredibly simple formula right here. Small, smart choices plus consistency plus time equals a radical difference. Now notice, it doesn't say massive leaps or heroic, exhausting efforts. No, it says small, smart choices. The challenge here isn't that the individual steps are physically hard. The challenge is that this formula requires immense patience over taking those flashy, dramatic leaps. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is this jaw-dropping number, over $10.7 million. Imagine I offered you a choice right now. You can either have $3 million in cold hard cash up front today, or a single penny that doubles in value every day for 31 days. Honestly, most people just grab the instant $3 million. But if you take the doubling penny, by day 20, you only have about $5,000. You're looking at your friend's $3 million, probably feeling like a total fool. But then, the magic of the compound effect actually kicks in. By day 31, your doubling penny explodes into over $10.7 million. That right there is the invisible power of compounding. Let's actually look at how this plays out in real life. Imagine 3 identical friends over exactly 31 months. Larry keeps doing what he's always done, no changes at all. Scott decides to read just 10 pages of a good book a day and cuts out a measly 125 calories, which is literally like skipping one single soda. Brad goes the completely opposite way. He buys a bigger TV and has 1 extra drink a week. Now, for the first year, you see absolutely no difference between them. But by month 31, the gap is stunning. Because of that tiny 125 calorie difference, Scott has lost 33.5 pounds, and Brad has gained 33.5 pounds. That is a massive 67-pound swing. Plus, Scott's daily reading compounded into a huge promotion at work, while Brad is just feeling stuck and miserable. Okay, part 3, wake up your autopilot. So that massive 67-pound swing we just looked at, that didn't happen on purpose. It happened totally unconsciously. The greatest danger to your success isn't intentional sabotage. It's sleepwalking through your daily routines. Think about a plane taking off from Los Angeles, heading for New York. If the pilot shifts the nose of the plane by just 2.4 degrees, a shift so microscopic you literally wouldn't even feel it in the cabin, that plane will completely miss New York and land 150 miles away in Albany. And that is exactly what happens when we let tiny, bad habits run on autopilot. They take us miles off course from the life we actually want. So, how do we fire the autopilot? Simple. We use a technique called tracking. Tracking is just bringing absolute moment-to-moment awareness to every single action in the area of life you want to improve. Because as they say, what gets measured gets managed. It entirely strips away your ability to lie to yourself.
Here is your exact operator's manual for tracking. Step 1, pick just one habit, like maybe your spending or your eating. Step 2, carry a physical pocket notebook. Step 3, write down every single related action the literal second it happens. And step 4, do this consistently for 21 days. Now, you might be wondering, why a physical notebook? Because the sheer hustle of pulling it out forces you to pause. When you actually have to write down that you're buying a $4 coffee, that pause creates awareness. And suddenly, over a year, you realize you just saved over $1,400. It's wild.
All right, part 4, willpower versus why power.
Now, I'll be honest, tracking is going to get tedious. Changing habits is really hard. And if you rely on sheer willpower to stick with it, you are going to fail. Willpower is kind of like fighting a grizzly bear with a paper napkin. And this brilliantly illustrates the difference. Imagine I ask you to walk a 10-inch wide plank suspended between 2 skyscrapers for $20. You'd say, absolutely not. The risk just isn't worth a reward, right? But what if your child was on the opposite building and it was on fire? You wouldn't even hesitate. You'd sprint across that plank. The physical risk, the plank itself, remained exactly the same. So what changed? Your why. A powerful emotional why instantly turns the impossible into a necessary action.
If your motivation is just to get rich or buy some fancy car, you're gonna quit when the work gets boring. As Tony Robbins says, success without fulfillment is failure. Your why has to connect deeply to your soul. It absolutely has to be something that pulls you out of bed every single morning, ready to execute those daily disciplines.
So, how do you actually build this why power? Well, you start by defining your core values and attaching your daily choices to your deepest desires. And listen, don't be afraid to find your fight. Sometimes the best fuel isn't even a noble cause. Sometimes it's an enemy like ignorance, complacency, or just wanting to prove a doubter wrong. Let your past frustrations and rejections be the high-octane fuel that powers your future success. And finally, part 5, building unstoppable momentum.
Once you have your why and you're consistently tracking your small daily choices, something truly magical happens. You invite the ultimate force multiplier into your life, which we call Big Mo. Think of momentum like pushing a heavy playground merry-go-round. In week 1, you're pushing with all your might. It's heavy resistance and it barely moves. Honestly, most people quit right here. But if you keep pushing, by month 3, your routines form and it actually starts to spin. And by year 1, Big Mo takes over. It's spinning so fast that all it takes is a tiny little nudge to keep that incredible speed going. What used to take massive, groaning effort now just feels like effortless gliding.
Let's move to this and see how this builds into your daily life. To project that momentum, you absolutely have to bookend your days. You see, we can't always control the messy middle of our day. Emergencies happen, chaos strikes, but you absolutely can control your morning and your evening. Win your morning by reviewing your goals and feeding your mind positive material. Win your evening by reflecting and planning for tomorrow. These solid bookends anchor your momentum and ensure that Big Mo never ever leaves your side.
I want to leave you with this final, absolutely vital thought. The compound effect is not just some theory, it's a universal law, and it is working in your life right this very second. Every single small choice you make today is compounding. So ask yourself, are your daily habits slowly building your ultimate dreams, or are they quietly orchestrating your downfall? The choice and 100% of the responsibility is entirely yours. Start small, start today, and let time do the rest.